Hello friends, you are most welcome to my channel Biological Tips. If you are new to this channel, please do subscribe my channel. Already have given respiration part 1. This is the part 2 of this chapter, okay? Okay, so let us begin with part number 2. So see, in this video I'm going to share you the differences between photosynthesis and respiration. Okay, so see, it's very simple to understand. See, photosynthesis happens only in green cells, okay, which have chlorophyll or chloroplast. Respiration, it happens in all the living cells. 1 minute, yes, it happens in all the living cells. Now coming to photosynthesis, it happens only in daytime, but this respiration happens throughout our life. Then again coming to photosynthesis, energy is stored, in the form of starch and everything. That is why we say endergonic. 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 Energy is stored in photosynthesis. Rather in respiration, energy is released, that is exergonic. Now, in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water are used. Whereas if you see in our in respiration, what happens? Carbon dioxide and water are released, and instead we use food and oxygen and we release CO2, right? On using oxygen we release CO2, but here it happens reverse in photosynthesis. They use CO2, which is released by us, and water, and then what happens? They release food and oxygen, that is they release starch and everything which we use. Okay, it's the same. You can just go through the video, just pictures like this. Now, photosynthesis is an anabolic activity. In before video, I already explained what is anabolic activity. Yes, photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, small molecules are joined to form big molecule, whereas in respiration, a big molecule is broken down to the smaller molecules. That is a catabolic activity. Photosynthesis is an anabolic and respiration is a catabolic activity. Now, if we come, then the seventh change is difference is photosynthesis enzymes are present in chloroplast, whereas here enzymes are present in mitochondria. They are located in mitochondria. So this was the whole table, I can tell, photosynthesis of and respiration. You can just copy in your books. Now see, respiration has 4 phases. Okay, 4 phases. They are breathing, then exchange between lungs and blood, then exchange between blood and organs, and then the cellular respiration takes place. So I have a flow chart for you to understand. It's very easy. See. Okay. Now what happens is, okay, now what will happen? Oxygen, when we take in oxygen, our lungs are filled with oxygen. Okay, then what happens? When our lungs are filled with oxygen, exchange between lungs and blood take place, and this oxygen jumps into the blood. Okay, it goes to blood. Now from blood, blood is carrying oxygen. This blood goes to all the organs and give oxygen. And now what these organs will do? They, with the help of oxygen, they will break down the molecules and they will release energy. Okay, for producing energy they will use. And now what happens from this? When blood gives oxygen to the organs, oxygen gives back CO2. Okay, now organ gives back CO2, and then what will happen? Now organ gets oxygen, so cells also get oxygen, right? And now in cells, what do we have? We have mitochondria, and mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of the cell. So that now organ have got oxygen, even cells get oxygen, and then mitochondria will do its work and it will produce energy. And this is the whole process. Like this only it happens. Took in oxygen, oxygen jumps into blood. Now blood carries oxygen, blood gives oxygen to organ gives back CO2. Now organ gets O2, so cells also get O2, and then mitochondria, and then energy is produced. Now there is a question that aerobic respiration is more useful than anaerobic respiration. Why? Yes, because when anaerobic respiration takes place, the ATPs, that is adenosine triphosphate, that is energy storing, they are only just two. Whereas in aerobic, we have total of 38 ATPs. This is a big difference, and that is why aerobic respiration is more useful than anaerobic respiration. Now I have a huge flow chart, a simple but. Now see, I've already said you that glycolysis will take place, wherein glucose is changed to pyruvate. When you see the formula of glucose, it is C6H12O6, right? So C is how much? 6. So carbon is having 6 molecules. Whereas when it changes to pyruvate, this carbon changes to 3 molecules. So carbon is reduced to 3 molecules. From 6 it changes to 3, that is C3, and energy is released. Now see, when glucose is changed to pyruvate, in absence of oxygen, what will happen is, this process is known as fermentation. They have only 2 ATP, and pyruvate changes to ethanol plus CO2 plus energy. Pyruvate is having 3 molecules, whereas ethanol has only 2 molecules of carbon. Okay, so they can ask, what is the byproduct? You should tell what is the byproduct of absence of oxygen, or what is the byproduct in the process of fermentation. You should be able to tell it is ethanol and CO2. Clear? Incomplete breakdown is taking place, right? It happens in yeast. Now, when glucose is changed to pyruvate in the lack of oxygen, when oxygen is present but not completely how much is needed, that is, lactic acid is produced and energy is produced. Again, the byproduct is lactic acid, and in our cells, this all happen when we do heavy exercises. In our muscles, lactic acid is produced. Again, lactic acid is 3 carbon molecule. It is a complete breakdown, but ATPs are just 2. Now coming to glucose changing to pyruvate in presence of oxygen, what happens? ATP are total of 38. Pyruvate goes into mitochondria. Okay, pyruvate is broken down into one molecule, that is CO2, right? Pyruvate is nothing but C3, right? But now it goes to mitochondria and it is changed to CO2, that is C is only 1 here. Okay, now what is the byproduct here? We have carbon dioxide and water and energy as our byproduct. Now in fermentation, the byproduct is ethanol and CO2, and in muscles, when lack of oxygen on doing of heavy exercises, or you can tell by running, the byproduct is lactic acid. That is why we feel pain. Fermentation helps in dough, make cake, and it makes fluffy because CO2 is released. Now coming to aerobic respiration, a small flow chart to understand. It's very easy. Now see, in plants we have chloroplast. In chloroplast, photosynthesis will take place. It's just in plants, okay? Photosynthesis take place in plants. Then what will happen? Chloroplast is, after this whole process, photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen are produced, and then we humans eat it. Right? Not only we, but other living beings also eat. So chloroplast, glucose, after chloroplast, glucose and oxygen are produced, which we are eating. Then what will happen? This whole process, whatever I explained through respiration, the energy goes to the mitochondria in our cells. Then in mitochondria, what will happen? Adenosine triphosphate, ATP will be released. Okay, whatever cellular work will be done, and mostly other works we are doing because of this energy only. Then mitochondria, after whole respiration, what happens? We release byproduct, that is CO2 and H2O, and then this CO2 and H2O are used up again by the chloroplast. Again, this whole process will be continuing. So this was the video of respiration part 2. Please just comment me and tell how was the respiration part 1 and respiration part 2, and please do like this video and share this video to all of your friends and to students, so that they also know this. Thank you. Bye bye.